to my event on inner peace. Is it a goal, a dream, or a fantasy? So I'll give you my thoughts about inner peace and how I found it beginning at 50. I'm embarrassed to say, but I can tell you it was quite a journey getting there. And before May 13th, I'm sorry, November 13th, 2002, how could I forget? Before November 13th, 2002, I was fighting life. As Eckhart Tolle says, when you fight life, life fights you. So I had these big goals and dreams. Excuse me. I had the license for a national sales training program. And quite frankly, I wanted to really kick butt. I wanted to be number one at doing it. And I ended up partnering with a great partner whose name is John Smith. And it worked until it didn't. And the reason it didn't work, it wasn't my true calling. So it would never have been my own. It was a license for kind of like owning a McDonald's, and I decided I'd have a Steve's Burger. Nothing about that work would be my own. It would always be theirs. And I found some true gifts in it and things that I thought were very good. And then there were things that didn't fit for me because I also taught in my groups how to think in a universe, how to think to match the energy of a limitless universe, right? We live in something we truly don't understand. So one second I was in Waltham, Mass. Take this journey with me, right? Imagine November 13th, 2002. I'm getting ready to conduct the class, and all of a sudden I'm gasping for breath. I had a searing pain in my abdomen. It felt like somebody had knifed me or shot me, and I needed an ambulance. So while waiting for the ambulance in my partner's office, people were asking me, "Steve, how you doing?" And I said, "I don't know how my body's doing, and I'm grateful." And as I reflect back on that now, it was a divine presence, something otherworldly. I was at peace with whatever was to come. It was certainly going to test my resilience, little did I know. And it would change my understanding of life. The EMTs arrived. They asked me the same question, "How are you doing?" And I said the exact same answer. "I don't know how my body's doing, but I'm grateful." And they could not understand that at all. And I knew that from the look on their face. Like, this guy, he not only needs an ER doctor, he needs a shrink. A little while later, I'm in the internal intensive care unit. It might have been internal care unit too. It was the intensive care unit of the Waltham Hospital. And I remember a doctor asking me, "Have you thought about an extended stay?" And I thought, an extended stay? I remember thinking, well, most people stay at 2 days or 3 days in the hospital at that time, 2002. I thought, all right, it'll be a week. Little did I know. Little did I know. 5 days later, on the 18th, two friends were sitting at the end of my bed visiting me. One second I was with them, and the next second I was one with everything and nothing. No body. Pure consciousness. It felt like I was a drop in the infinite, like a drop of water in the ocean. There was only the now. I call it the now on steroids. There was no past or future. Immense light. I felt an interconnectedness with everything. with the divine presence. And then it was like a scene and a scene and a scene. It was like a play. The next scene was my life review. Only the lives I had touched flashed before me. Friends and family who had passed on, and also friends and family I had helped, strangers I had bought sandwiches for, given money to. Every life I had touched, even those I had smiled at. Only the good I had done. The next scene was a question asked, and it's all consciousness. I was asked a question, stay or go? And that's a voice I can not describe to this day, 22 and a half years later, or 21 and a half. It'll be 22, November 18th this year. I'm embarrassed to say I was 50 and I surrendered like no other time, when my consciousness responded with, thy will be done. It didn't matter if I stayed there or came back. The next second I was back in intensive care, back in my body, blown away by the experience. I couldn't even speak. Those same two friends were also at the end of my bed. And it took a while for me to even speak. And eventually I did say to them, something happened. And they both said, oh, yeah, you flatlined. The nurses and doctors came rushing in telling us, out, this is it. Call his family. And they were ushered out of the room to the waiting room where they were calling my family. And after a while, they were invited back in, where they were told, well, Steve is stable for now. You can sit with him. That began a journey that was just unbelievable. An amazing journey. Little did I know it was going to be 100 days in the hospital, 60 days straight, 40 out of the next 60, and 6 months out of work. But it's fascinating. I found inner peace by surrendering to the moment even before the ambulance arrived. I had been studying the power of gratitude, had been practicing gratitude, had gratitude journal, had gratitude partners, and I had read the book, The Power of Now, and I guess I had internalized it and waited for the years that after reading the book, that message, I just surrendered the minute that pain hit me. I was not worried. In fact, I know the EMTs were expecting me to say, don't let me die. I don't want to die. Don't let me die. Instead, I'm saying, I'm grateful. I don't know how my body's doing. I'm grateful. I had sensed a divine presence. And so inner peace, for me, in my experience, came from surrender to the moment and embracing what shows up in life. That's how we can find inner peace. Now, could it be a goal? Yes, but I can tell you it was not a goal of mine. It was not broadly on my consciousness at that moment in time. At that moment in time, I was fighting to be the best at whatever I was doing, even though it wasn't mine to do. See, that's the key. It was not my calling. It was the beginning of my calling, but I was stuck in not appreciating even that. I loved helping salespeople. I loved coaching people. What I didn't love was being part of that environment of a franchise. It was never going to be my own. And my acorn brain, that little voice in my head was telling me, you can't do this on your own. You need a license. You need a national program. Who the hell would listen to you, Lynn Teamy? But I had been teaching, even then, adding into my sales training, the fact that we live in a universe, in a miracle. Can you see the earth here painted on this little marble? There's the United States there. That's what we're living on. We're floating around on something that physicists say is probably even smaller than that marble in relation to the size of the universe. We're living in a miracle. I wasn't at that time in 2002, not in my mind. And I surrendered. It just came. I can tell you it wasn't a goal, inner peace, and it wasn't a dream. I didn't think it was a fantasy because it didn't occur to me at all. And there I was, surrendering like no other time. I mean, waiting for the ambulance, even having the pain in my body, I knew it was something bigger than I could control. And maybe that was it. Letting go when we're faced with something we cannot control. And that led me to letting go. Mostly. Back in my body, it's been 21 and a half years, I can tell you, there's plenty of days where this little voice wants me to fight what's going on and not accept it. And then I think back to this experience that I had, this amazing miracle. And then I say, oh, wait a minute, everything's working together for good. I write about that in my book, Sage Advice, Wisdom for Living, from throughout the ages. It's available on Amazon. I have a new book coming out called In Plain Sight, Learn to See What Most People Miss and Embrace Life as It Is. Again, I talk about my experience and then share the experience of my clients who have also learned to surrender, to picture something big and let go of how. If that's what they have in their gut, if they have something in their gut that's driving them to something bigger, the key is not to fight for it. You find inner peace by surrendering to everything that shows up, because what I learned is it's all a gift. That's what I was missing. In plain sight. For me, it took life whacking me with a 2x4 to say, Steve, you're missing the gift. Life is a friend. So Christ said everything works together for good. Muhammad said what reaches you was never meant to miss you. And what misses you was never meant to reach you. So there's two sides of that coin in what he tells us. Embracing everything that shows up, that means everything. The uncomfortable, the challenges, the difficult people. There's a gift in them. What are they there to teach you? What is the gift? And then not to lament what doesn't show up. What misses you was never meant to reach you. Fascinating. And I think of both those, and everything works together for good. It's a similar message from Christ and from Muhammad, expressed differently. And the biggest gift of my life came, not wrapped with a bow, I'll tell you, because it came in the form of needing an ambulance. 1 second, it was fine. I was fine, no symptoms. I survived 2 major health challenges in 5 days. The first, that took me to the hospital and the ambulance, was acute necrotizing pancreatitis. To this day, I have a blockage in my pancreas, which caused all the enzymes, the digestive enzymes, to bleed into my body cavity and begin doing what they do in my body cavity, which is digesting my other organs. And then the human body is amazing. I built up fluid, 30 pounds of fluid over those 5 days, which caused the anterior myocardial infarction 5 days later, a major heart attack. Spoiler alert, I survived. 90% of those people who know me are grateful that I survived. There's always that 10%, eh? And I could tell you that it was a miracle. I mean, little did I know it was going to be 100 days in the hospital and 6 months out of work. It didn't matter. I was grateful. Now, were there times that my acorn brain wanted me to be the victim? And how are you going to live? You're not going to get any money. If you're not training, you're not getting money. Fascinating is that $24,000 came in the mail starting in December. After 5.5 weeks in the Waltham Hospital, I was transferred to Brigham and Women's for surgery. The 24th of December was the day after my surgery. The 22nd of December, I went to Brigham and Women's by ambulance. They sent an ambulance after I got a second opinion. And on the 24th of December, now I'm not saying it's Christmas Eve. There's no synchronicities in life, but it was Christmas Eve. And an envelope came. It had a note and cash and change. Hey, Steve, we heard about what's going on in your life, and we took a collection. A group took a collection and mailed me the money. After that envelope came, many envelopes came with notes from the people whose lives I had touched. Fascinating. That's all that was shared in my life review, right? Only the good I had done. And while in pure consciousness on November 18th, it was like a play. I said a scene and a scene and a scene. The life review after immense light and being one with everything and nothing, the infinite, one with God. The next second, again, flashed before me all the lives I had touched, all the good I had done. Those that had passed before me were there to greet me. And then the life review included every life I had touched, people I had helped move, fix their car, bought a sandwich for, helped them across the street, gave them money, smiled at, people I smiled at that I didn't know, strangers, all flashed before me. How do you feel when you do good? There's a reason for that. That's what we're here to do. Let go of all these worldly desires. Let go of living from the outside in. I was trying to get validation, from the outside in, trying to be the best sales trainer, the best license holder, the best of everything. And not paying attention to all the signs that said, Steve, you can do this yourself. You can write your own books. You can do your own training program. That includes all the stuff that are dear to you. And the gift that came on the 18th with that flatlining and the near-death experience was I could include that in my teaching. That's a great gift. It didn't come with a bow on it. You know, we feel good when we do good because that's what we're supposed to do. And the sins and mistakes, right? Sins and mistakes we make, those are for us to learn and grow from. We get up again and we take what we learned and we grow. We change. I mean, some don't. Some don't. They want to live on that side of life. That's fine. They don't embrace their mistakes. They don't look for the gift. Okay, maybe they come back. I don't know. I wasn't shown that. Maybe we keep repeating this until we finally get it. I can tell you that the sins aren't tracked, at least in my experience. Now, I only ask you to have an open mind because I understand some people really get wigged out about spiritual happenings and transcendence, but just have an open mind because everyone's experience of these things is different, and that's fine. I'm not trying to convince you of anything other than surrender to the moment. Try it for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Surrender and look at life as never being absent. God is never being absent. We separate ourselves from this wondrous life force that's all around us. Little tiny creatures right now in the rug here in this room that I can't see, on my skin that I can't see. Maybe there's things so big we can't see them, right? If there's things so small we can't see them, we understand that thanks to microscopes. Telescopes are showing us things so large in the universe it's very hard to comprehend. There's things so large in our life we don't get it. We miss them. They're in plain sight because we would rather complain, bitch and moan, pardon my French, at Friday night at the bar with friends or at the office cooler about how our life isn't working out, how our boss doesn't know what the hell they're doing, the company's off track, right? We all know better. That's why I wrote the book, You Might Be Full of Shit If. And a few weeks later, I wrote you the companion book, You Might Be Full of Number Two. After all, we know better, the woke edition. I'm not making fun of anyone in those books. What I'm talking about is we miss the gift in all of life and having a dialogue with people that don't agree with us, that don't look like us, that don't think like we do, that don't have the same faith. Do you think the creator of a universe, a limitless universe, there might even be limitless universe on top of limitless universe? Who knows, right? We call it the word universe to give it a definition, and this little acorn brain can say, oh yeah, the universe. Who knows? So we think the challenges are here for us to complain about and share with other people, and then make all kinds of people wrong that are different than us. We're here to learn to appreciate them, the people that bug us, the events that bug us. And it's easy to see the events and people we love as gifts. Those are easy. It's much more challenging to find the gift in all the events that challenge even our resilience, our definition of life. I think of people who've had tremendous tragedies, like the Mothers Against Drunk Driving. MADD was started by a woman whose daughter was killed by a drunk driver. She turned that event into something that's benefiting the world. That's finding the gift. I'm not saying we shouldn't grieve or we shouldn't feel some sadness or depression about a tragedy, but get over it at some point and find the gift. That's what life is doing. We're only here for a short time, and we're all going to die, by the way. I just hope that's not a spoiler alert for you. We're all going to die. I think we should call it What's Next and get to finding what's yours to do in this life, what's your calling. What are your challenges and those people that really bother you, and the events where you might say you're at the bottom? What are they there for? To teach you, to wake you up to. After that event in 2003, I wrote the book, Wake Up, Jump Into Your Life. I gave up the sales training license. I found other licensees that took over my clients. And I took work from a client who called me, by the way, one of the five. Besides $24,000 coming in the mail while I was in the hospital, I had 5 job offers while laying in a hospital bed. One of them called me January 2nd and said, he was a client. He said, hey, Stevie. I said, what, Mikey? He said, what are you doing? I said, I'm in the hospital. He said, oh, I got a job for you. I said, Mikey, I don't know when I'm going to get out of here, let alone be cleared to return to work. He said, I don't care. I'm going to wait for you. I said, I don't know if I'll even take the job. I have the license for this sales training. Maybe I'll keep doing it. He said, I don't care. I'm going to wait. It was January. Fast forward to April. I was finally going to see my primary care doctor, who was in another town. I was outside of his care area. So finally I got to see him. He knew what was happening and happened to me since November, right? So I see him in April, and he hugs me. He was not a hugger. I was startled. He saw the look on my face and he said, you don't get it, do you? You have nothing to fear. I left his office a little while later, cleared to return to work. And wouldn't you know, Mikey called me. Stevie, what are you doing? I said, Mikey, uncanny. You're calling me. I'm just getting cleared to return to work. I'm driving home right now. He said, well, I have a plane ticket for you to join our national sales meeting. And if you'd like, I got a job for you. So come on down, take the job. So I thought about it. I had 5 job offers while lying in the hospital bed. And I thought, well, the universe is trying to tell me something, right? I wasn't going to miss what was in plain sight anymore, and certainly not get whacked by a 2x4 again. I took the job with one comment to Mike. I said, Mikey, I'll take the job, except that on Monday afternoons, I want to start training my own work, my own classes, at 1 day a week in the afternoon. He said, fine, come to work for me. Mondays are office days. Monday afternoon, go do your work. And for 6 years, that's what I did. I did my work. And fascinating, that client asked me to do that work while I worked for them. My calling was unfolding. But it didn't begin until I found inner peace by surrendering to what is. That's the key. But I'm not trying to convince you of it. You got to prove that to yourself. That's why I wrote those books. You might be full of shit if you follow anyone or anything blindly. And think about how often we're doing that today. In this country, we have a two-party system that makes each other wrong. It's all they do. It's why I'm an independent today. But we have religions making each other wrong. They're even killing each other. Same faiths. Catholic and Protestant killed each other for thousands of years. Sunni and Shia Muslims killing each other. All the faiths that are based on Abraham. The Jewish faith, the Muslim faith, the Christian faith, all rooted in the same tree. Killing each other because they disagree. We're missing the gift in life, which is to learn to get along, but not tolerate each other. Appreciate each other. Have a dialogue. Have some fun looking at the Democratic convention and the Republican convention. You want to see people that follow along anything blindly. In fact, in the parties themselves, they get mad if somebody disagrees. It sounds like the Communist Chinese Party, CCP. Everybody better get in line. You better agree. This is a country where we relish disagreement. We relish freedom of speech and speaking up. And even that has been challenged recently. If you disagree with one side or another, or one thought or another, it might even be sexual preference. Who cares? God didn't care. That wasn't mentioned in my life review. The only thing mentioned was the good I had done. That's what flashed before me. Get over your small-minded thinking. That's what I'm telling everybody. You find inner peace by embracing all the difficulties and challenge in life, all the different people, appreciating them, acknowledging them, and looking at when they bother you and bug you, what is it asking you to do? Maybe it's life is asking you to have an open mind. Don't worry, your brain won't fall out if you have an open mind. But you got to try it for yourself. You got to prove to yourself that small-minded thinking holds you back. Being right and making everybody else wrong because they disagree with you is small-minded. Making others wrong because they don't believe like you do in your faith is small-minded. Religious people even do it. They're supposed to be the leaders, modeling good behavior. Our political leaders are not taking accountability. They're modeling small-minded behavior. Then they expect the general public to behave differently, which is fascinating to me. What created a universe with all the different levels, so tiny we can't see them, probably so large we can't see them. I mean, we couldn't see so much of the universe until we put these huge space telescopes to work, either in space or on Earth. But these huge new technologies are seeing things we could not see that were in plain sight. They're so big we can't see them, just like the little tiny things that are around us and on our skin that we can't see. Imagine the creative power that did that, making one religion, one political party, one way of living, really small-minded. Limitless thinking is what models the creator of what we live in. And you'll find inner peace by letting go of all the things that bother you, that have you railing against others, complaining on Friday night or complaining at the water cooler, or joining up with so many others only because they agree with you. What a waste of energy. Look at social media to see what a waste of energy it is. All the people that spend hours railing against each other. And you're never going to change their mind. You got to change your mind. Surrender to the moment. Embrace life as a friend and a gift and prove it to yourself. See what that difference in consciousness will do in your life. I'm suggesting, and at least in my experience, it has opened amazing new doors. I've met amazing new people and achieved things that I never thought possible for myself, or at least that little thinker, that acorn brain, didn't think it was possible. Questions? Email me, Steve at stevelentini, L-E-N-T as in Tom, I-N-I.com. Steve at stevelentini.com. I'm glad to help. And remember, you can challenge me. I'd be grateful, but I might just ask you, does it sound like small-minded thinking? Be well.